Well, howdy, folks. It's been a little bit since we put up a video. Actually, no, that's a lie. Just earlier this week, I think I put one up of the figure eight race that the Buick ran in. So if you don't remember, I picked up this 2001 Buick Century last November, I believe it was. Planning on using it for trash car. And that was the plan all year, but things have changed now. It ended up the 14th, 15th, it ran the tough truck competition at the Monster Truck Show in Pocatello. Excuse me. And then just this last weekend, was it this last weekend? The 21st and 22nd, sorry, I got the hiccups. It ran the Monster Truck Show figure eight. So in the tough truck competition, this axle right here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, ended up popping out. It actually broke it, and I was actually able to fix it, but instead of trying to put it on, we just ran to the store, got a new one, had it fixed within an hour Sunday. It broke on the last race, Saturday night. On my last run, we ran 3 runs, there was 4 of us, and it was single car, beat the time, that good stuff. And the first night, the 14th, I took first place, and then second night, I took second. Which is kind of funny because I brought out a demolition derby car, and I was facing guys that were complete off-road cars. The one guy had actual tough truck. It was a 89 Bronco, I think, 88, 89. One guy had like a 2006 Hyundai. It was a wicked thing for a Hyundai. The roof was cut off the back end, big old swampers on it, turboed. And then there was a guy with a early 90s Jeep that was his daily, and he was running the shit out of that thing. But he ended up taking first. I beat the turboed Hyundai, and then, which he destroyed his suspension, and then the Bronco took third. So that was really all that happened to this one. The front end took some damage, not that. The bumpers, from the figure eight, I don't know if you can see up in there, but the radiator and all that got pushed up in, was touching the motor. And I thought, well, there's another race coming up this weekend in my hometown. Well, it's not my hometown, but the town I'm living in. Let's go run it, let's have some fun. It was a figure eight race. And, well, as you can see, the car kind of took a beating. I got the good old Saturn sitting there ready to go this upcoming weekend, but yeah, the Buick took a beating. It ran 2 nights. The first night we ran a main event, or a feature and a main event. The feature I took second, and then the main event I took third. Come Saturday night, the next night, they only ran 1 race. And I took 4th in that race. I blew that front well, the tire that's actually blown on it now, I blew out in the first lap. I'm having a big issue with this car overheating. And so, like the night before, Friday, I went out there and, ran my laps, everything, but after each heat, or the first heat and then the feature, each time got the car behind the trailer, shut it off, and it wouldn't start until it cooled down. But it's, probably because the radiator is beyond gone, which I've got a new one sitting over there in big red. Well, not so big red, but so Saturday night comes, knowing didn't have a huge chance at winning. The night before, I met some awesome people. They're a family that races, and I became good friends with them. So I went out there, and my whole goal was to help them win. So I basically ran as a blocker. I did everything in my power to get them in first place and all that good stuff. But the car still runs. I have a battery out of it right now that's actually sitting here in the Saturn, since it's running next weekend. But normally I'd say, yeah, not too much changed, but as you can tell, it changed. it no longer starts in park. The neutral safety switch is what I believe is screwed up in it, but it'll start up in neutral. And just because of how much I'm struggling with it overheating, it's not going to run trash car or any more figure eights. This next month, the end of June, there's a demolition derby. Same town I live in. It's a newer one. And a couple of my good buddies are running that show. Actually, the one's got his car, the other one we're trying to find him a car. And we're all going to run the chain and bang. They have minis, but this just won't be able to compete with minis, being I don't have it built the way their rules are. They allow a lot of extras, stuff you can do, your motor, suspension, all that, compared to where I can just run this in chain and bang, which is what it's built for, and have a somewhat fair chance, even though I'll be mostly running against full size. But so I actually have a video. I'll try to get it uploaded, but my good buddy's dad ran the same heat I did, and he got stalled out and spun around on the third corner. I don't know what you're going to call it. It was a figure eight. So around, the one of the tires, and he was sitting broadside. Well, when I ran the tough truck and it blew out my CV axle, it took out my front brake lines, at least for the left side here. So, I didn't have no brakes. I'm full throttle, could not stop. And their figure eight race, you don't have to have a cage, nothing. So I was the only guy that had a cage. And that kind of put a big target on my head, just having the biggest car. Everybody else ran little tiny four cylinders, besides my one buddy who ran like a 95 Ford Taurus. So we both had the biggest cars out there. But anyways, his dad got turned broadside, and well, I've got a car right behind me, and I punched it, and I T-boned the hell out of him on the passenger side. And needless to say, his car was caved in. It was bad. It was one of those I had to go check on him afterwards. The rear end, right after I hit him, my buddy was actually the one that did this. Same thing, kind of a follow-in. He had somebody behind him pushing, and he just shoved it all up in there. And so, because of the lighting, I don't know how well y'all can see that. Living out here in the desert, it's pretty bright. But the car does run. It overheats. I do have another radiator, but I just don't think it has it in it for trash car. Which was the plan, was it was going to run this next weekend, because we have Lizzie's car sitting over there in the driveway. We have my gorgeous Saturn, and then we have the Buick. We were going to run all three, but I just don't believe the Buick has enough in it to run another race. So it'll just be later in the month, run it and finish the car. That's all it'll be. I did have to take off the roof sign because of the wind, but so that's really all there is to it with the Buick. I did have one of the hardest hitting cars out there, but that doesn't really matter in a figure eight. Now, the Saturn, this thing's done. It's complete. I finally got tires on it yesterday that hold air, at least for my front two. And then I've got 3 extras sitting right there. They don't hold air as long, but these do. These are new tires, new rims. Nothing's really changed. I did end up getting a couple more fuel cells, so that's nice. But you probably won't be able to see it, but I completely forgot that the rear trailing arm on this car was broken. So yesterday we got it out, moved it around, was running it around the yard, and I started feeling that rear end drag, and oh yeah, I completely forgot that was broken. So we're just going to run it as it is. If it breaks off, it breaks off. But for the goal for today is to get Lindsay's car done. We're having a lot of issues with it. Being in drive, it doesn't have very much power. I mean, it takes it a long while to get going. But in reverse, has all the power in the world. So we are going to end up trying to find her another car. But for today so she can run next weekend, get a feel for it. We gotta get the windshield pulled out, get some more in these little side windows, excess glass, and then carpet and just clean the cars out. But yeah, that's really all that's been going on. Hopefully I'll be starting to build on the wagon here soon, and then I'm actually picking up another car. Can't tell you what it is yet. Well, it's a 93 Mercury. Shoot, what was it? It was like the copy of the Ford Taurus. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's a Mercury. And so I'm gonna pick it up from a kid for $150 once the big Buick is gone, and I'll build that for a derby. So I appreciate y'all joining me today, and we'll see you in the next one.